Houston Real Estate Radio.
Thanks for tuning into AM 700 KSEV in the Houston area to learn more about real estate here on Houston Real Estate Radio. We're in the RREA.com studio today in Spring, Texas, and I'm Shannon Register, and right now I'm talking with Bill Lublin. He is an international speaker and trainer and the owner of a Century 21 Advantage Gold in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he's also the founder of the Social Media Marketing Institute and wrote the ePro Realtor Designation course for the National Association of Realtors. For the National Association of Realtors, he served as a past chair of the Professional Standards Committee, and he's a current chair of the Risk Management License Law for NAR. And Bill is in town right now for the NAR Tech Edge event that took place earlier this week in Houston. Area realtors gathered to learn about technology for realtors and how things have been changing due to social media and online videos and blogs. And I spoke at the event and talked about the RREA.com blog that we have at Register Real Estate Advisors. Technology has really allowed consumers to change the way that they purchase homes. They've changed their buying habits, and the realtor communities had to change to keep up with this new way that consumers not only find, but also purchase homes and how they make their decisions along the way. So first I'd like to talk with you, Bill, about NAR, because a lot of people don't even know what the organization does. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here in Spring, Texas.
Thanks. So tell us about NAR.
Well, NAR is the largest trade association in the United States. It represents just about a million realtors, slightly under. It was founded in 1908, and its purpose was to create sense out of chaos. The real estate industry at that time was really sort of wild. There were no state legislation. There were no license laws. So NAR got together to create a code of ethics. That actually was launched in 1913. And that was the Professional Standards Committee that you mentioned. Every year works on refining it and changing it so it's a living document and helps establish a standard of care for consumers. They are the source of real estate research. They actually were the foundation for a lot of states' licensing laws. As I said to you, the first Code of Ethics was 1913. In Pennsylvania, our license laws weren't founded until 1929, and most of them mirrored the things that were in the Code of Ethics in the way that real estate professionals should treat consumers. So they're really there to preserve the space for consumers, to promote home ownership. It's really an honor to be able to work with them. And the Tech Edge event that we participated in is an example of that. It was put together for local realtors. We made a little road show out of it: Toronto, Miami, Houston, and Las Vegas. And we're bringing really technology tips so that they can serve their consumers better, communicate more easily, and do it ethically and effectively.
You know, I think that's a great thing that NAR has done, because there are so many variations between realtors on what they're doing, not only with social media and blogs, but even with online, how they get consumers engaged in the buying process. So how has technology changed the way consumers buy? We know that technology has brought on such a different way of purchasing just household goods and having them delivered to your home, but how has it affected home buying?
Well, with home buying, really the way it's affected it is that the information about what's available and what's for sale is now much more accessible to consumers than it was back in the day. And as I mentioned during our content segment of Tech Edge, there was a point at which if you needed to find a home, you either drove the neighborhood and looked for signs, or you read the newspaper, or you went to a real estate professional.
Right.
Now the information is everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
The IDX feeds in our multiple listing, there are over 1,000 of them.
All those applications you get right there on your phone.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, our company has a dedicated mobile app so that...
Yeah, so do we. Yeah.
Right, so you can just stand there and say, okay, I want to know what's around me that's for sale. So it becomes not important, the property data becomes less important than it used to be, And what really becomes important are the relationships. And that's really always been true. I mean, the business, realtors have always preferred to do business with referrals.
Sure.
People like to be referred to somebody. They want to feel that
Somebody
they can trust them.
trust.
Right, exactly, exactly. So what technology allows us to do now is to connect with people not only geographically, which was traditionally the way we did it, real estate farms. You'd go out and maybe give out flags on Memorial Day or July 4th, or seeds in the spring and football calendars in the fall. But now we can also connect with people demographically. So if everybody went to Spring High School in Texas and it's 20 years later, you can connect with those people even though some of them may have left Spring and gone to Dallas or Las Vegas or Los Angeles or Florida.
Right.
And still have those connections.
Sure.
And they can still be a valuable source of referral business.
Absolutely. How do you think that the realtor community has responded to the needs of consumers? Do you think that it's been effective, or do you think that there's still a lot of change to come?
Yes. I actually think both. I mean, I speak not only to realtors, but I've given technology talks to builders and home improvement people. I'm speaking to a group of dentists next month. As an industry, we've actually adapted and adopted technology much more rapidly than many others.
I think we had to.
Yeah, but I mean, even attorneys who should, very cautious. People in the pharma industry, because of HIPAA, they're very concerned about privacy issues. We're naturally gregarious. We're networkers. We sort of enjoy that. When I began teaching this stuff, you'd ask who was on Facebook, and you'd get 5 or 6 people.
Right.
Now I ask who's not on Facebook,
right?
And there will be 5 or 6 people out of 200.
And wasn't that just a year and a half ago? I mean, that wasn't that long ago when people weren't on Facebook.
It accelerated rapidly. In 2010, when we rewrote the ePro, we used the statistic that there were 500 million members. 2 years later, there are 900 million members.
Wow.
And of course...
And it just keeps growing.
It's international. It keeps growing. And there are other networks as well that challenge it. Google Plus has been sort of interesting. It's sort of where the academics of the social media world go to gather, but you get a lot of play there. Pinterest this year, the online bulletin board that has been described as a place where women post pictures of children they've not had, furnish homes they've not bought.
You think that one's going to be a fad, or you think that one's really going to stick?
Well, I got to tell you, it's like 90% dominated by women. And I have a lot of respect for the power of ladies when they organize. I'm not thinking that's going away. They like the visual. They like sharing that way. It interfaces with other sites. The one thing that we know, and when we put together the ePro course, the one thing we tried to concentrate on is that channels will constantly change. This conversation that we're having in a radio station with video nearby 20 years ago would have been very different. 3 or 4 years ago, social media was Friendster and MySpace. Now it's Facebook and Twitter. 5 years from now, it may be 2 startup things that we've never heard of that are going to drive traffic and where people are going to meet. So we don't know. What we do know is that we need to be able to connect with people in a meaningful manner wherever the channels are.
Do you think that the big name brokerages around the country are on board with this, or are they resistant to it? I know the agents on their own, each agent is an individual, they're their own boss. I mean, they can go out and search the information and educate themselves and do a lot of this stuff on their own as far as have their own blog and social media. But do you think that the big brokerages are on board and helping their clients helping their realtors to be able to better help the clients using these new methods?
I think it's uneven. I think a lot of larger brokers are. I mean, before the ePro, I had written a course called the Certified Social Marketing course. And we actually gave the first iteration of that in Chicago to a large independent broker there. I've spoken to large brokerages. I've spoken for national franchises. So I think they want to try to do it. Part of the problem is that social media education is somewhat uneven. Anybody with a Facebook account who is under 30 is a social media expert of some sort because the job market's difficult.
My 4-year-old's somewhat of an expert.
Well, there you go. There you go. I mean, you see the 4-year-old with the iPad.
Exactly.
Right there.
And the e-binkies.
Right.
The phones keeping the 2-year-olds busy while mom's shopping.
Well, that's my e-binky too.
Incredible.
My iPhone is my e-binky. So, I'm actually now going to have to start calling it that. So I'm right there with you.
Well, we just had our NAR Tech Edge event this week in the Houston area, and we'll be in Las Vegas next Friday. This is a nationwide tour for this NAR event because of all the changes that are happening in the real estate market and the changes in how consumers buy and sell homes today versus years ago. Today, realtors have been leading the way with technology because if they don't, they're not getting the listings. I mean, it really comes down to how tech-savvy are those realtors to get the listings out there to get the buyers. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of Houston's newest talk radio show, Houston Real Estate Radio on AM 700 KSEV.